Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Double B Billy Boudreaux here, coming at you with my first top 5 video. This is my top 5 favorite NES games of all time. Number 5, ladies and gentlemen, is Tetris. I mean, come on. Who wasn't addicted to that little puzzling, shape-moving video game? I mean, we've all tried to do the 4-line Tetrises all the time. That's the only thing we look for when we're playing that game, is to pull that off. And it's always fun when you do get it, but the levels just kept they would go faster and faster and harder, and I just kept playing it. And that's one of the reasons why I liked it. And I loved it on the Game Boy as well, but this is NES. This is what we're talking about. Coming in at number 4 is Mega Man 3. Let me give you a little background information on that, ladies and gentlemen. The way I got introduced into the Mega Man series, at first I would have like copies of Nintendo Power, and I would read about the Mega Man games, and then a few times when I had the opportunity, I would rent Mega Man 2 from the local rental place at the time, and then I believe it was either for my birthday or for Christmas. It was a long time ago. I'm feeling old just thinking about that. But it was my first copy that I actually owned was Mega Man 3. And I actually had a guide to go with it. And I just fell in love with the game. I kept playing it over and over again. No matter what, no matter how many times, I would just play it. And that's why Mega Man 3 is on my list of favorite Nintendo games. I know there are a lot of other Mega Man video games out there on the NES, but Mega Man 3 is going to be on my list. Number 3, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now, this is pre-ear biting days. You know, when Mike Tyson would be hungry, he would go out and get a bite. Anyway, let me give you a little interesting story about that. When I first got my excuse me, when I first got my hands on this video game, I know I'm going to get laughed at a lot, but come on, first of all, I was like 10 years old, 9, 10 years old, and for the life of me, at first, I couldn't beat Glass Joe. And I know that sounds stupid, but I couldn't beat Glass Joe when I first got my hands on the video game. I wasn't really used to it, and Glass Joe used to beat the crap out of me. Nowadays, when I play it, whether it's on an NES emulator or wherever I get a chance to play it, I beat the crap out of Glass Joe within like 30 seconds of the first round. But looking back on those days when the Glass Joe used to beat the snot out of me when I was a kid, I'm like, okay, why was Glass Joe so hard to me back then? I really can't remember why he was so hard to me back then, but he just was. And I remember clearing through the entire game only once. I mean, Piston Honda was incredibly difficult. My first time around, he was incredibly difficult. I would get to King Hippo, and I wouldn't even know how to beat him until I found out when he raises his arm like this, you're supposed to punch him right in the stomach and everything. And when you knock him down once, he would never get back up. Bald Bull scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Bald Bull I hated until I found Soda Popinski, the only pink-looking dude on the video game. Then, of course, there was the Sandman. I'm not talking ECW Sandman. I'm talking about the Sandman. Basically, it was a Bald Bull knockoff, but his uppercuts, instead of having the charging bull uppercut, he would have like rapid-fire uppercuts. And of course, there was that Macho Man guy. It's not Macho Man Randy Savage. I think it was just called Macho Man. or Macho or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It's been such a while, guys. But then, of course, Mike Tyson, who's patterned after Piston Honda, and I know Mike Tyson would just piss a lot of players off because in the first round you would be hit twice, and then all of a sudden you're knocked out. And there's a reason why he's the boss character and he was hard as hell, is because of that. But I cleared through it only once, guys, and I'm telling you the truth on that. And it is extremely hard to do. You'd have to be really skilled at button mashing or learning how to dodge Mike Tyson's punches and shit like that. But it was a fun game, and to me, it's always had a high replay value. And that's why Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is number 3 on my list of top favorite NES games. The next one on my list, number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is Super Mario Brothers 3. I am highly addicted to Super Mario Brothers 3. I say am. I didn't say was. I say am. Because one of the things is I have an NES emulator on my laptop, and one of the games I had to have first, it was the first ROM that I sought out. It was Super Mario 3. And of course I do have the Game Boy equivalent of it when they made it on the Game Boy. It's just not the same though, because they took all the sound effects from Super Mario World, like from the Super Nintendo or SNES, and they put it into that game. And it's just, no, the gameplay is still the same. The sounds are just, no, not what I remembered of it. So I had to get an NES emulator, and I had to get the ROM of Super Mario 3 to enjoy the classic version of it. And when I played it as a kid, I just loved it so much. There were so many different power-ups, so many different enemies, so many levels. Well, I'll say so many levels. There were only 8 worlds, but it was just so highly addictive to play, so much fun. I enjoyed it, especially going through all the different suits. You know, the Takumi suit where you can actually turn yourself into a statue. You had the Hammer Brothers suit. You had the Frog suit. You had Raccoon Mario. And I just loved it. I just loved the game. I loved every aspect of it. But I think the one game that has to top it on my list and be number 1 is the first ever Super Mario Brothers on the NES, and that's going in there for a few reasons. One, it's the first ever video game I've ever played on the Nintendo. I'm trying to say NES, but it's a little flip of the tongue. Anyway, it's one of the first games I ever played on the Nintendo, and it's the first game I ever got addicted to. I remember back when I was a kid, me and my dad were playing it, and then at one point we'd be playing it so much that we actually got headaches from it. I don't know how it was possible to get headaches from playing video games, but it was the 8-bit days and whatnot. But we were highly addicted to that game. And, let me tell you a quick story about that. When I believe I was like 6 or 7 years old, and at that time my sister Jenny was addicted to playing her keyboard and whatnot, and I wasn't even aware that my dad had gotten a Nintendo. So it was early one morning. I was still kind of waking up, kind of woozy like we all are, and I was hearing the song. I was hearing music, and the first thought that was running through my head was, wow, Jenny got really good on the keyboard. And then I got up to go see her, me thinking it was her playing on her keyboard. And then the first thing I see in the kitchen was my sister standing there. She didn't have her keyboard. And it turns out my dad had got a Nintendo, and my jaw just dropped. And I'm like, wow. And guys, that was like the big video game system back then. That's what I grew up on first. And that's what got me into video games, was the Nintendo. And Super Mario Brothers was the game that we played, and we played it and played it and played it. Me and my dad at first, and then it was Me and Jenny, and I think my brother Jamie might have played it with me a few times. I'm not I can't really but too sure because again that was like way back in the 80s, guys. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons why Super Mario Brothers 1 is on the top of my list of favorite NES games. So that's it, guys. That's my first top 5 video. Again, that has been my top 5 NES games. So with that being said, be sure you check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/WrestleGamer, for further top 5 videos, and of course, my video blog. Until then, bye, guys. And I'm going to leave you on this note, guys. I would like to know from you guys out there, what are your favorite top 5 NES games? Leave it in a comment below or in a video response. I would love it in a video response as well. So until then, bye, guys.